Vengeance is karma's bitch cousin.
Blood, violence, and freaks of nature. Well, then, come on.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Reviews. It is your host with the most. Pumpkin spice latte dill. And today we're going to be talking about a couple things, which is first and foremost, made for TV movies. You've seen them before, you know. In the 90s, it was a spectacle. You had the It miniseries.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy and I'll kill you all!
And a plethora of other, genre-defining films. TV film. Ain't nobody that does it worst and best as the Syfy channel. You know them, you love them. They're the ones that created Sharknado. Or is it Sharknado? They gotta revitalize the Leprechaun franchise with Leprechaun Returns.
Fruity and full-bodied, with hints of your mother.
And you know, they got Ghost Voyage. Like, Syfy has been known to take low-budget movies and stretch them and stretch them.
They stretch you and stretch you!
When I first came here, I was a midget.
But that's not always a bad thing. When I was a little kid, especially, you know, between 10 and 12, I used to have trouble getting sleep at night, so I would stay up all night, surf the channels, and Syfy was always playing the creepiest shit, man. They always had, like, the edgiest movies, dude. Like, ones to this day that are ingrained in my mind. Like, I'm fearful of them. And this one slipped under the radar for me. So if you're familiar with the original cult classic, Pumpkinhead, it follows the story of a grief-stricken father whose son was killed in an accident, and the only way he can cope with it is by revenge.
Good for vengeance, vengeance, say it!
Where he then summons an entity known as Pumpkinhead. And shit starts to turn into a bloodbath. And, you know, there's been many in this franchise. I don't know how many. I know at least 4. But, you know, tonight I was like, I'm going to check out part 3. I could have watched part 2, but I was like, you know, something about part 3, it looked cool. It just was on the recommendation list.
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Like, what do you think of the toothpaste? Why are you trying to figure out what I think? Because we have to submit the review by like 6 o'clock. So, like, do you recommend the toothpaste or not?
And then it got me thinking, I was like, yo, this is a Syfy original movie, dude. Like, back in the day, Syfy, I just have a fondness in my heart for Syfy original movies. I can say straight out the gates that this one was nostalgic in a way where it's like, I haven't even watched the movie, but Syfy just has this way of making a low-budget movie suspenseful, creepy, and very entertaining. Like, oh, like, don't get me wrong, the CGI in this movie's dog shit. Like, what does CGI stand for? Cheesy generated internet. So that was the only downfall for this movie for me. Like, honestly, the acting was subpar, but what do you expect? Doug Bradley's in it, you know, our boy Hellraiser. Lance Henriksen reprises his role as the father. Well, hey, you could be like, how can he do that? He's a ghost. Spoiler, he dies in the first one. How can he do that? Figure it out. So this movie follows the same formula, you know. There's a tragedy that's addressed where someone is wrongfully hurt, and the people close in their circle want revenge and redemption, so they go to the old witch to summon old Pumpkinhead. And let's just say when Pumpkinhead comes, he ain't coming to chat. He's coming for your neck type shit. And one thing I like that they did with this movie, where, you know, when you blood sacrifice and create a oath to summon this demon or whatever Pumpkinhead is, and he starts acting out his moroseness, anytime someone gets hurt, the people that engage in this blood oath are now feeling and like radiating in that same pain. It's like they become one with Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead is sort of this embodiment and this figure of what's like of torment, you know? It's not just a creature out of the shadows. It is a representation of an emotion that a lot of people struggle with when something tragic happens to them. And I thought that was very brilliant. I thought the movie was gritty. I thought the movie was pretty scary, and that's one thing I will say. Like, usually when you have sequels, and this will maybe be another topic I get into.
I don't
He's
actually
got a life,
think.
probably a family
I
and a job.
don't actually think I've
Quite a
spoiled
lot
that
of
much.
footage.
Usually I feel like sequels after the original kind of descend into like this comedic route.
Yeah,
No.
every sequel is better than the original.
That's usually the opposite.
Oh no, you're wrong.
Because the first one was so like the epitome of what the film is, that they just start taking a more humorous route out of, you know, meta-ness or like memeage or whatever. Like, they just are like, we can't replicate the original, so let's do the same thing but like make it goofy, a spoof.
That's the joke.
You suck, McBain!
So this one, it held its own. It was very creepy. Doug Bradley carried his role like the Hell Priest himself. You know, he shattered my expectations with this one. I was like, oh, bruh, Dougie Doug, you do this. There was some choppy acting, as stated, but, you know, like, what are you gonna do? What can you do? Like, they ain't getting paid that much, but all around, the characters that mattered, they gave the performance they should have. And watching this movie, there were scenes where I was like, if I had watched this 2007, 8, 9 on the couch by myself, this one probably would have been in my top tier favorite horror movies of all time. But I've seen it now, you know, in my 20s. So, but I still had a great respect for it. You know, I ain't gonna shut this one down. Like, I still give this incredible rewatch value. I would watch it again in October, perhaps. You know, you struggle along the lines when you're doing a franchise that slowly loses its budget. It's like it loses its budget and it loses its original sources, so you gotta, you know, outsource, and usually there's one or two people that are connected to the franchise that are saving graces, and that's obviously Lance Henriksen and pretty much him and the other kid, what's that dude's name? Douglas Roberts, who plays Bunt, but I'm pretty sure Brian Bremer played the original kid, so Dougie isn't quite as connected to the franchise. But anyhow, it's a fire film. Last thing I'll look up, I swear to it, dude. Jake West directed this, and, you know, he's been known for, you know, creating documentaries on censorship and speaking to directors. So the fact that he got to make a horror movie and make it pretty graphic and brutal was kind of cool. Like, I don't know how restricted he was, but I think he did a great job. I'm not going to get into many spoilers, but I will say there's this church scene that's very ominous. You know, the impending entrance of Pumpkinhead coming to torment the whole town in one small area is creepy. You got some, you know, great ties of the town. Like, for a movie that's, you know, an hour and a half or so, telling a story about a small town, it really weaves them intricately into a way that you feel like they do know each other, and how their past correlates with their present situation, and I thought that was great. Pumpkinhead looked like absolute crud. Like, I will say that as lightly as I can. Like, they fucked up. I don't know how practical he was in the original movie, but this one, I don't even know if he was practical in this one. Like, but this one was bad. Like, it almost ruined the movie for me. It's like, dude, how you gonna do my boy Pump like that? Like, a little Pump. Like, he got big head, but it ain't that big. Type shit. But thematically, it was scary, and I really think this movie was a good puzzle piece into this franchise. It was installed at a proper time, and I really recommend it. I'm gonna give it a solid. I will give it an 8 out of 10. Like, I know it's not gonna be critically received like that, but fuck it, it's my opinion. So, what's your favorite Pumpkinhead movie in the franchise? And did you fuck on this one? I'm gonna say it one time. Give me a hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah for horror. And don't summon Pumpkinhead. That'd just be dumb of you.